Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine.
Hey, yo! What? Yeah! This is awesome. Oh my God. Okay, by the way, $100,000. You would be screaming like that too. $100,000 a week? Don't even. $100,000 a week? You'd be screaming. You'd be like, I hate Ukraine. So Disney's a homosexual man. Oh my God, bro. $100,000 a week, bro. That's crazy. Who came out with a statement about being a pro-Russian propagandist, a paid pro-Russian propagandist. Yeah, it's not just Tim Pool, it's people with Tenet Media. This indictment alleges that right-wing commentators like Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, and Lauren Southern, as a part of the Tenet Media YouTube channel, have been unwittingly working for a Russian influence operation. Two people described in the Tenet indictment as unnamed founders were very aware that their operation was funded by Russians. Tennessee Business Records lists Tenet's founders as Blaze TV's host and TPUSA contributor Lauren Chen, aka Roaming Millennial, and her husband. Now let me tell you something, okay? I have not tried to any of these people in this indictment, but the #1 defender of Ukraine, who kept saying I was a Russian dissident or a Russian operative, has. You couldn't have asked them why they were doing pro-Russian propaganda and how much money they were getting paid when you were trying to Lauren Southern, or when you were trying to Roman Millennial, when you were doing buddy conversations with these people, Destiny? What happened? This is also, it doesn't matter, vindication or not, it doesn't matter, because the people that are so invested in me being a Russian op, like a Russian operative, not a Russian opposition, are so invested in that they will never listen to reason. They've already made up their minds. They've watched all the YouTube commentary videos from these dumbasses who kept saying like I was pro-Russia from the jump. They will still continue with the investment that they've made. But I just want to point out, seems like who are pro-Russia got. Seems like who are paid propagandists got. A new DOJ indictment that it alleges that RT employees covertly funded and directed by a U.S. company with $10 million in order to push pro-Russia content. The company's based in Tennessee. There is one media company based in Tennessee with the same phrase listed in the indictment. The Canadian entity that owns Tenet Media, of course, is owned by Lauren Sum Tam, also known as Roaming Millennial, Liam Donovan, on the board of directors. Or was it Roaming Millennial? Is that what her name was? Am I saying that right? What the was her name? Lauren Chen. You know, people that Destiny's definitely cozied up to over the last couple of years. It remains to be the truth that Canada is not sending their best. They're either sending their worst or they're sending their best in some instances. But like usually in the realm of politics, Canada is sending their absolute worst. The indictment specifies that two of the people who work for this Tennessee company Tenet were deceived, meaning they didn't know that the Russian government was running an influence op. Dave Rubin has 2.4 million subs and Tim Pool has 1.37. So the two people that were deceived, I guess, for a license, Kalashnikov Afanasieva, founder 1 and founder 2, worked together to mask U.S. company 1's source of true funding, RT, by falsely portraying to commentator 1 and commentator 2 that U.S. company 1 was sponsored by a private investor named Eduard Gregorian. In truth and in fact, Gregorian was a fictional character. Benny Johnson also almost has 2.4 million, but they apparently rounded down from 137 to 1.3 million with Tim Pool, so I figured Rubin's 2.4 million to 2.4 was the same. Helena Shudra shared with U.S. Company 1 a video of a well-known U.S. political commentator visiting a grocery store in Russia. Afanasieva posted the video in the producer Discord channel. Later that day, producer 1 privately messaged founder 2 on Discord. They want me to post this, referencing the video that Afanasieva had posted, but it just feels like overt shilling. Thinks we should put it out there. Producer 1 acquiesced, responding, all right, I'll put it out tomorrow. Now, what I find really funny about this is that, like, why are we not doing this for Israel as well? Because that would, of course, mean literally virtually every top-level media commentator would be in the crosshairs in this way. Most of our politicians, too. AIPAC gets to operate without ever being hit by FARA on a regular basis. What's that about? AIPAC just spent $20 million to oust 2 progressive lawmakers, and Israel was caught running a $2 million influence campaign, but you'll never hear Russiagate stenographers utter a peep of protest. Yup, it's true. Isn't that purely because Israel's an American ally and Russia is an American adversary? Is Israel an American ally? Do they seem to be operating like an ally recently? Because it doesn't feel like it. I don't know. What you're saying doesn't make sense, because then Bob Menendez would be free right now. So would Henry Cuellar. Bob Menendez's crime is that he got payments from Egypt, another American ally. Yeah, Eric Adams in trouble for getting payments from Turkey. Some legwork in this thread on identifying the other unnamed and very lightly masked commentators in this incident. Matt Christensen. Doesn't this guy hate me too? I feel like I've seen this guy make videos about me. I remember watching a video of his. Look, all I'm saying is, for all of the liberals who are super pro NATO, who spent a whole litany of time talking about how pro-Russia I am, even though I fundraised for Ukrainian refugees pretty early on. It seems like all of my enemies who despise me are named in this. So if you have ever found yourself personally aligned with any of those people mentioned, maybe you're not pro-Ukraine and instead simply using a horrifying situation like the invasion of Ukraine to your immediate advantage. Ops taking hard L's again. 100 P. Tim Pool got 100K per episode and Ruby got $5 million per year. That is crazy money, by the way. Once again, grifting to the left is not a real thing. Grifting to the right, however, very, very profitable. Good money to be made there. Russians wanted them to post the Tucker Carlson grocery video, but they always thought it was too obviously shilling. Lauren Chen said to post it anyway. The Russians wanted to blame the ISIS Moscow attack on Ukraine. They got commentator 3 to do it. If Dave Rubin is commentator 1, then I think Johnson is 3 and vice versa. To be clear, whether or not Benny was commentator 1 or the others, neither I nor the indictment are claiming he knew that he was working for the Russians. The question is whether he should have known or suspected is both philosophical and harder to prove. A statement of the Leo. Oh, they all have statements coming out. Oh, they have statements coming out now. My statement regarding allegations of the leaked DOJ indictment. Should these allegations prove true, I, as well as the other personnel and commentators, were deceived and are victims. I cannot speak for anyone else at the company as to what they do or to what they are instructed. Let me explain something to you guys, by the way. I get asked to do ads in the political realm all the time, especially during election cycles. Now, they're not paid propagandists for like a foreign government or whatever, obviously. That would require an additional layer of stupidity. But beyond that, why the are you taking ads from any political operatives whatsoever? Why are you taking ads to be pro a certain political position? Isn't that exactly what you're supposed to be against? It doesn't matter that this is like pro-Russia. Even if it was like pro-gun laws or you know, pro-guns, you shouldn't be taking that ad at all. The is wrong with you? You're supposed to be independent media. So I don't do this. Aren't you supposed to have your own independent opinion on subject matters? Why are you taking money from a group, even if they're not pro-Russia, even if it was just a regular, homegrown American political group? Why are you taking money from them to say certain things? How should any of your fans ever believe you ever again for the rest of time? Will you be paid for this take? Will you actually be telling your genuine opinion on this take? Do you agree if it was a pro-Ukraine ad? Yeah, even then. What do you mean? Even then, if you're a political commentator, you should not be getting paid by pro-Ukrainian media either. What the Either way, that's why I said if you're a Republican and you're getting paid by like a gun group or whatever, even if you're pro guns as a Republican, you shouldn't be getting paid by a political group overall. Never at any point did anyone other than I have full editorial control of the show, and the contents of the show are often apolitical. Examples include discussing spirituality, dating, and video games. The show is produced in its entirety by our local team without input from anyone external to the company. TCW is a separate company not associated with timcast.com or other properties. It exists solely for the production of the Culture War podcast. That being said, we still do not know what is true, as these are only allegations. Putin's a scumbag. Russia sucks donkey balls. And to the journalists who wish to jump the gun, create their own narrative, or lie about what is currently going on, you can eat my Irish. If you're serially so stupid that you didn't realize the 100K per episode you demanded to spread Russian propaganda wasn't coming from Russia, the DMV needs to revoke your driver's license and you can't be trusted with household appliances. Like, I just saw a guy giving me $100,000 to say nice things about Pootie Poo and I took it. Like, what? I think Tim Pool, now that I know his educational attainment, like unironically might be that stupid. The only funny thing about this is that like paying Tim Pool $100,000 to be pro anything is automatically a waste of resources. Lest you ever think actual people pay to listen to Tim Pool, 90% of all of their revenue literally came from Russian shell companies. No, this is like one aspect of his entire production, I think. Tim gets multiple revenue streams. Tim himself gets revenue from his own channels as well, so the Russian money wasn't 90% of Tim's revenue. I think it was 90% of his revenue for the one entity that he created. Wait, what? He got paid 100 grand per week? Oh my God, bro. 100 grand per week?
Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine.
Hey, yo! What? Yeah! This is awesome. Oh my God. Okay, by the way, $100,000, you would be screaming like that too. $100,000 a week? Don't even. $100,000 a week, you'd be screaming. You'd be like, I hate Ukraine, sell Disney's a homosexual man. Oh my God, bro. $100,000 a week, bro. That's crazy.
Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine.
Bro, this is like mathematically the worst position to arrive at. Like, what do you mean? Like, people say I'm a shill for Russia because I'm always like, bro, we need to do a ceasefire. America's interests in Ukraine are not genuine. All they want is the continuation of war so they can like dump all of their older weapons. Like, ultimately, we need to come to the table and do a ceasefire. Like, I never once would say Ukraine is the enemy of Russia. That's insane. Bro, they got no autonomy in this. I'm sorry. The people on the Democratic Party side that consistently talk about how like, well, this is what the Ukrainians want, are literally just straight up lying. Because if everyone in Ukraine said, no, we don't want to do war, what the we need to do a ceasefire immediately. We hate being slaughtered. America would still be like, okay, well, you know, what if it was okay for a couple more people to get slaughtered, you know, because we really like the situation right now that we're in currently. We love that you guys have, you know, destroyed half of the Russian artillery. I mean, it wouldn't take much before the CIA literally puts a psychopathic, like rabid right-wing ultra-nationalist in power if Ukraine actually changed trajectory, I think. But again, this proves the point that I was making, which is giving Tim Pool money to be pro anything is such an L for whatever your cause is, dude. I love that.
Criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict.
Okay. This is actually really instructive. Why did he say triggering this conflict? Bro, they blew up the Nord Stream pipeline after. That's number one. And number two, literally, I think he's reading a script. This is instructive. Match what he's saying here with my commentary to understand the difference in opinion, okay? If you want to know what someone who is like pro-Russia shill, literally getting paid to be pro-Russia, versus someone who's like, yeah, nah, dog, I think it's probably America that blew up Nord Stream pipeline and not mother Russia, okay? Because it makes zero sense whatsoever. Like, even when people used to clip the thing that I talked about with like the Crimean bridge, Ukraine blowing up the Crimean bridge. Yes, it is still an attack on largely civilian infrastructure and therefore could be considered an act of terror, but it's still born out of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So it's still ultimately in the hands of Russia. They would, of course, clip the second part out and say, Hassan says blowing up the Crimean bridge is an act of terror. I would literally compare it to what Russia does in terms of like attacking civilian infrastructure, which is unjustifiable. They would clip that part out to make it seem like I was simply saying that Ukraine is doing terror or whatever. There's a difference between that, my analysis, which still lends the blame in the hands directly of the responsible party, Russia, versus this guy being like, Ukraine is the number one enemy of America. Ukraine has a valid interest in freeing their borders, violator of their sovereignty, the most moral and understandable and righteous cause. Our interest as the United States of America in Ukraine, not exactly in the same level of infallibility. Just want to offload our old ass equipment so the goddamn military industrial complex can turn a profit, all while not a single American active duty service member is harmed in the process. It's a win-win. Insane to call Ukraine your enemy. How the are they your enemy? They were invaded, dog. Yeah, they were just sitting there looking pretty, waiting to be invaded by Russia. They are the enemy, the biggest enemy. Bro forgot about like all the other things that he could be talking about on a daily basis, like China or Iran. Also stupid to say, but like Ukraine being the biggest enemy is awesome. I say right-wing grifting is obviously an incredibly fortuitous endeavor. And this proves it once again. Was a Russian asset. Before people say, Hassan, you like certain people that used to work for Russia Today. I do. Abby Martin used to work for Russia Today. Back in the day, Russia Today was not the Russia Today it is now. It definitely still had those same elements, but pre-invasion of Ukraine, Russia Today used to do this very interesting thing where on the 1 hour, they would have like someone who is like militantly anti-imperialist. The next hour, they would have someone who is like insanely right-wing. Just so you guys understand, like their goal was to cause as much chaos and confusion in American politics. Of course, that's the point of their media campaign in general. It makes sense. America does it all the time. What do you think Voice of America is? Having said that, there was a time when Russia Today had like the funniest lineup of commentators where they would have like the anti-imperialism hour with like Abby Martin, followed up by like, are the Democrats transing the youth? Dude, I love this. Benny Johnson, oh my God, this come up is fire, dude. By the way, when you see these names, Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Lauren Chen, Lauren Southern, remember what I always tell you. You can tell a lot by a man and their political opinions by seeing who their enemies are. There have been a litany of supposedly leftist political commentators that have on me for years and years and years. Spent a whole lot of time doing that, as a matter of fact. And I never really responded in kind. What you have to remember is that's because I thought it was unproductive to on those guys, because sometimes we're in alignment on certain issues. I spent my time on these guys, okay? Because I think it is really stupid to try to farm a Nazi groped up base of support by on like random trans influencers on Twitter, or by on random leftist influencers who also had a lot of smoke for me. You know what I mean? I am not a deeply unserious person who's only invested in the drama. Just remember that. Know beside whom you stand and know who a man presents himself as the enemy of. Great stuff overall. Really cool. Love the story in general. Big fan.